The great thing about the beautiful game of football is 1 week you can look like you about to draft a quarterback at the top of the draft, and the next week you can look like we talking about playoffs. It's the Duke of knee jerk. You know what it is. G. Bush is going to give you the ups and the downs, but I'm going to tell you why Jameis Winston actually has the Cleveland Browns contemplating the word playoffs. We'll do it all right next on this episode of the Ultimate Browns. Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush right here with the Ultimate Browns. Thank you for pulling up on us. As always, we got a great show planned for you guys to get you ready for the LA Chargers and the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk a little bit about some trade rumors, right? When your team is 1-something and 2-something, Browns looking to get to 3-6, and they can start legitimately talking about certain things. We got to get to some of these random trade rumors. And why is it always got to be Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett? We always talking about it. We'll come back and we'll talk about that in a segment that we did a little something earlier today on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. We'll talk about that, these trade rumors coming out of left field, and we'll get to that as well. All 22. Sean King broke it down with Mikey McNuggets, and we had to show you some of the great anticipation and some of the great things that Jameis Winston did. I think people need to see the film work, because when you see the film work, you can actually start to see this ain't a lucky thing. This is not – Jameis Winston did not luck into a game. This was already there. We'll break that down. We'll look at some all-22 stuff from Sean King and Mikey McNuggets that we took a look at on the WKYC show. But first, let's go inside the numbers, right? The Cleveland Browns are 2-6. But there have been teams that have made it to 3-6 and made the playoffs. A couple of teams a few years ago. Jacksonville Jaguars, one of those teams. The Rams, one of those teams that were 3-6 that turned it around and make it to the playoffs. The Browns are playing this week. Got a big-time game at home against Justin Herbert, Harbaugh, and the Chargers. Not your same Chargers that we looked at before. Not the same Chargers that are used to having Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and some of those guys that you're used to having. Austin Eckler at running back. They're more of a ground and pound team, more of a physical type team. They take the identity of Harbaugh. J.K. Dobbins has almost 600 yards on the ground. They're going to look to ground and pound you in this game and try to be physical. I think this is a game that the Browns can win. I think this is a game that the Cleveland Browns, with a newfound sense of physicality themselves in running the football, with a newfound physicality and actually running more zone plays, double teaming more at the line of scrimmage, and getting a guy like Nick Chubb, who I think is a game or two away from being back to real Nick Chubb. I think this game is a very winnable game for the Cleveland Browns. And if you can get to 3-6 going into the bye week and having a very winnable game at New Orleans, you're talking about a completely new season. And that's just funny how things go, man. Life comes at you fast. 1 week we're talking about the Cleveland Browns drafting Shedeur Sanders or Quinn Ewers or Travis Hunter. Now you get a game against the Baltimore Ravens at home where your quarterback is coming off Offensive Player of the Week. Offensive Player of the Week in the NFL, and 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And let me just give you just how stark things are in the game that we took a look at with Jameis Winston and what they were looking like under Deshaun Watson. Mikey McNuggets does a great job of going in between the numbers. He looks up some of these numbers and stats. And this game, the reason I'm really picking the Cleveland Browns to win this football game, and I think the Browns will have a big game offensively, is look at the number differential between what Jameis Winston did and what Deshaun Watson was doing for the Cleveland Browns. Take a look at this.
This next one kind of ties into the yardage, and then we're going to talk about something other than the quarterback. But we talked about, Jason, you mentioned using the receivers properly. Can you get separation? Can you go downfield? These are the downfield passing numbers in Jameis's one game versus Deshaun this season. Obviously, 334 yards, the most any Browns quarterback had thrown for this year. In his 6+ games, Deshaun had 9 completions of 15 yards. Jameis had 8 against the Ravens.
Oh, wow.
Deshaun on the season of passes of 20 or more air yards was 4 of 19. Jameis was 3 of 4 on Sunday. 3 of 5.
4 of 19 on passes 20 yards or more in the air?
Yes.
That's for this year?
13 were considered
That's just this year,
off
right?
target. Just this year, correct. Just this season.
When you you know those numbers is crazy, but when you talk about, like, you know, Sean King said it yesterday on the show. He said, listen, Jameis has always just been a better thrower of the football than Deshaun Watson. That's just what it was. Like,
yeah, I want to highlight Jameis's part as opposed to knocking Deshaun on that.
Yeah,
like, that's more to highlight
that's just,
what Jameis can bring to the table.
That's just he does. That's what he does. Jameis Winston, and you talk about it. You know, you look at those numbers, and we'll look at it as a segue. Look in the next segment. Stick around, because we're going to show you exactly why that wasn't by chance. You know, a lot of the conversation was that Deshaun Watson, was playing poorly, and that Jameis Winston was going to kind of try to give him a spark. And the theory is he kind of just lucked his way into that. He didn't luck his way into those 334 yards when you watch the film. When you watch the film, he's dropping dimes. It's anticipation in his throws. It's velocity. He understands the offense. He understands the timing and where guys are going to come open at. He does a good job of putting touch on the football in certain circumstances. He does a tremendous job in ball placement. He didn't luck his way into those 334 yards against the Ravens. And I know people talked about the dropped interceptions or whatever the case may be. This is replicatable, people. This guy's throwing for 5,000 yards in this league. And when you take a look at that offense, that in some of those numbers that Mikey McNuggets throw out there, it just shows you how the Cleveland Browns offense could not get anything going. And for me, look. The thing about football is when we talk about it, it's always next man up. When you play football before, my job is not to sit here and figure out why the Baltimore Ravens didn't play well. I don't know what the heck that thought process is. I don't care that the Baltimore Ravens dropped interceptions. They should have caught them and they could have won. I don't care about that. My thing is with Jameis Winston, if Jameis Winston wants to throw me, I'm looking at 2-to-1 ratio. That's what I'm looking at here. If you could throw me 4 touchdowns and 2 picks, I'll take them. Right? Because you're going to give us an opportunity to get things open, because you're going to take chances, because you're going to do some of those things. We're going to have some things open underneath that necessarily might have not been there if you did not take those chances and opportunities and risk. You know, you look at Jimbo Fisher, and he's a guy who comes out of that system at Florida State. I mean, he has the pedigree. He has the arm strength. He has all of the different requisite things that you want in a quarterback. I think this lines up very well for the Cleveland Browns. Very well. You talk to Bernie Kosar this week. He talks about it. Hey, this is the offense we were waiting to see. They talked about all of the shotgun stuff and all of the vertical passing stuff. It just didn't fit what the Browns personnel was. Now, all of a sudden, you look at Elijah Moore, who looks more, he ran one of the best routes I've seen last week. We'll talk about that, and I think Sean King, make sure you guys check that out. If you haven't checked it out, go look at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Twitter page, and you got a bunch of those things there ready to be had. So make sure you take a look at that and check those situations out. Well, one thing that I'm looking at definitely in this situation is this. Hey, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, you got an opportunity in this game where Nick Chubb is looking a lot better. I think he's a couple of plays away. When you open up the passing game and you're throwing the ball downfield, now you can't have super duper heavy boxes. Now we could get a chance where now Nick Chubb can run against lighter boxes, make a few guys miss, and now his yards per carry are going up. I think the offensive line is getting healthy. I love the fact that DeJuan Jones is playing left tackle and Jed Wills is sitting down on the bench. Let's talk about it. So this game is going to be a game where I look at it, all of a sudden David Njoku and Denzel Ward look like they're trending. I'm not going to say they're going to be playing for, guaranteed playing. They're trending to getting right and getting healthy. And this is a game where if the Browns can get out to a nice little lead, this isn't your regular the Chargers of a couple years ago. This team wants to run the football. Myles Garrett would be a great time to get off, get a couple of sacks and pin his ears back. I think Zadarius Smith is playing a much better defensive end position right now. I think he's playing some of his best football right now that he's played in a while. And by the way, JOK is going to be out of this game, but I thought Diabate really flashed some things, and I think Mike Hall Jr. flashed some things. So for me, this is a very real situation where you can say, all right, if you can get this win, and I'm not counting anything before the hatch. If you can get this win, you might be in a situation where now you have a situation where, guess what? You're feeling good about yourself. The guys in the locker room are believing. People is rallying around Jameis Winston, and you're starting to get some of those Flacco vibes that you did last year. 3-6 going into the bye week is a completely different thing from being 2-7 going into the bye week. We'll see if the Cleveland Browns can get it done. All of this means nothing. All of this prognostication and excitement about Jameis Winston and what he could be means nothing if you don't go out there and get it done at home in front of the home crowd. And hopefully the crowd is ready to go and get some of that home cooking, because I think this could be a really nice game for the Cleveland Browns. And maybe, just maybe, they might be able to talk about playoffs. When we get back, we'll take a look at what Sean King talks about, and I'm going to just show you one of the throws that he made that makes everything so excitement, and I'm going to show you why a lot of people, Bernie, Sean King, Leroy Horde, are rosying up and cuddling up to the notion that maybe the Browns might have run across a diamond in the rough here, and maybe, just maybe, he might be a long-term answer at quarterback. We'll come back and do that. It's G. Bush here, right here on the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you checking out the rest of our episodes and rest of our shows. We got the Ultimate Guardian show right here, Zach Miles, Adam the Bull. Make sure you check those guys out. They will be talking with you about the winter meetings coming up, all the good stuff. The Dodgers just won the World Series. The Guardians, hey, they're coming off an ALCS appearance. How do they take the next step? The only way you're going to find out is if you watch the Ultimate Guardians, and make sure you check that out. Ultimate Cavs. Listen, Cavs is off to a great start tonight. They got they started 5-0. They smoked LeBron and his boy. They got the New York Knicks off the sticks, and now they got the Orlando Magic, a rematch of the first round of the playoffs from last year. Check out Mikey McNuggets and Jason Lloyd covering the Cavaliers, and you're going to watch them get you in coverage of all the Cleveland Cavaliers moving throughout the season. Kenny Atkins is doing a great job. Make sure you keep it going, because the Cavs going to make a deep run this year, I promise you. Make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and then you'll know when we come into the table with all these other great shows right here on the UCSS Network. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. It's your boy G. Bush back with you again. Ultimate Browns, you know what it is. Sean King, one of the best to do it. Shout out to the big homie out there, Sean King. He's been breaking it down, our resident quarterback expert, quarterback whisperer. He's been breaking Deshaun Watson down all the entire year, and he broke it down with Jameis Winston as well. And let me tell you something, man. He called me when I was sick. He said, yo, big dog, let me tell you something, G. Bush. Don't put no ceilings. Don't put no ceilings on what Jameis Winston could be. This guy is a guy that can anticipate, throw the football. He shows a nice little diagram play right here. Him and Mikey McNuggets talk about the diagram play that they did a really good job of dissecting. Dorsey called up a nice play, called a nice little bunch formation, got guys open. And these are the types of things that get guys excited, and the fans excited, coaches excited, media excited about the possibility of what Jameis Winston could possibly be.
Let's not forget Ken Dorsey, who called the plays in this game. This is a really good play design here. You know, a lot of times, you know, you look at the elite wide receivers in this league, you don't really have to move DK Metcalf around. You don't have to move, you know, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. They're so physically gifted. They can get off press coverage. They can beat man coverage from a static position. But sometimes when you get to the second tier guys, you have to get creative in getting them releases. So this is a tight bunch formation here. So you have all of the Ravens DBs inside of the numbers, and watch the release from the trip side down here at the bottom. This is what creates the initial space for Elijah to get into his route. Now he's got separation. He's running full speed. And what makes the play work is Jameis's timing, anticipation, and ball location. Jameis sees it, throws it, boom, easy pass, easy throw and completion there. But give Dorsey some credit for a really creative way of having Elijah as the inside point on the trips, but also the guy running the out route.
You see, This is what we talked about like before. There's small things when you talk about play calling that really make a difference. In that play, you take a look at how they were able to get a clean release from Elijah Moore, who is a guy that is a smaller stature receiver, does not have a huge catch radius, and sometimes he's trouble getting off man-to-man coverage if he's not in the slot. So what they did is, come up with a creative way to get him a free release, get him released in a route. And you see the difference it makes when you're able to do certain things like that. But more importantly, the quarterback getting the ball out on time, getting the ball out in rhythm, and putting the ball on him. He didn't have to move around and jump back to the back. He didn't have to go jump over his head. He ended up being down below. All he was able to do is get to his third or fourth step, boom, throw the ball. He saw it. He was not confused what the coverage was giving him, and he hit him for a nice chunk play down the football field. Those are the things the Browns were missing severely. Those were the type of throws that we were not getting. That rhythm and timing is something we weren't getting. And these are the things that are going to open up the rest of the offense. So now Nick Chubb can get the ball under center and run and have some lanes to go. And when you're throwing the ball on time, your offensive line looks a lot better. When you're throwing the ball with some rhythm and some timing, your offensive line understands that, hey, listen, I don't have to be back here dropping back and pass setting 40 times a game when I got guys like Kayvon Thibodeau, when I got guys like Max Crosby, when I got guys like Micah Parsons bearing down on me. I now know that my quarterback's going to be third step, fifth step, whatever the case may be, balls out. Another thing that I liked was the simple fact that now you have the under center running game. What you can do with that is now you can be physical. Instead of you taking all of the brunt of the force and guys rushing and beating you upfield, guess what you can do? Now I could get in my stance as the offensive lineman, and I could come off and punch you in the face. It's kind of hard to rush the quarterback when you're getting off double teams. For the first time, I saw Wyatt Teller pulling, getting him a 2-for-1. I saw Joe Bitonio doing this. Let's keep running the ball. We eating right now, giving that to Kevin Stefanski, telling them, hey, you know what we looking at. Ken Dorsey, for the first time, is up in the press box where he likes to call his game plan from, right? So all of these things are now showing you that you're getting into an identity. And I've always said this. I've always been a person that's been about this type of identity. Yes, you want to be multiple, and yes, you want to be able to do a lot of different things, right? But at the end of the day, what you want to do is say, listen, I'm able to win or lose what my best is. If I know what my bread and butter is, and I know exactly what I like to do, if we taking an L, if we lose doing my best stuff, going down fighting, I don't have a problem with that. I don't. You see what I'm saying? I don't got a problem going down swinging what my best stuff was. And a lot of people was upset because it felt like the Browns was not coming out swinging with their best efforts and their best individuals on the field. And when, they say Deshaun Watson gave them the best chance to win, but when you see that Jameis Winston throwing the football like that, it's kind of hard to believe, bro. It's kind of hard to believe. Now, I always preface this. The thing that we talk about is, can you do it week after week after week? Because for me, what I'm trying to see is, I'm not interested in seeing if Jameis Winston is a good backup. That's not what I'm looking for here. What I'm interested in seeing is Jameis Winston going to be able to take the mantle and find a diamond in the rough, so to speak. And what I mean by that is this guy, can he give you at 30 years old, can he be another guy that can bridge you some years? Because guess what? We're sure getting a great look at Cedric Tillman. I'm keeping Jameis Winston in just so I can see if Cedric Tillman is a number 2 receiver, because now he gives you an opportunity to have competent quarterback play where you can evaluate Jerry Jeudy as, hey, is Jerry Jeudy a number 1 receiver, or do we need to draft one or get another free agent? Is Elijah Moore a guy that you may think about bringing back? Because guess what? At one point in time, we naturally assumed that he was already walking this year. We get an evaluation on him. Maybe the offensive line isn't washed. Maybe DeJuan Jones is your left tackle of the future. All of those things, you're gonna get an opportunity to get a good look at all those things moving forward. And I think Jameis Winston shows you why he's going to be the guy moving forward, at least for this year. And hopefully if he could put together some more games like this, it might be something that we look at as longer than just this year and potentially a couple more years after this. Coming up, this is the thing that I wish we can get rid of. I wish we can get rid of this. How many times are we going to consistently talk about this? There's trade rumors. Trade rumors happen when you're 2-something, and the Cleveland Browns happen to be 2-6. But why do we always got to involve Myles Garrett or Nick Chubb? We'll come back and talk about it right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Actually, it's not the UCSS show. I just get used to saying it. It's Ultimate Browns. Speaking of the rest of our shows, man, under the UCSS umbrella, my man Earl the Pearl. Make sure you're checking them out on Ultimate 216. It's a mix of sports and culture. Always got great guests over there talking about the community. Make sure you check Earl the Pearl out and him doing his thing on the Ultimate 216. And then, of course, man, this is the easiest one to do. I mean, we give you 2 blogs a week. We give you clips. We give you that commentary. And the only way we know how to do it is your boy G. Bush and the big homie himself. Ultimate Browns 2 times a week right here on the UCSS Network. We got you covered with everything going on in Berea, from Jameis Winston to Deshaun Watson and Nick Chubb, trade rumors, all that and above. We got you covered right here on the Ultimate Browns. And the only way you're going to know when we're ready to go with this is make sure you subscribe to the UCSS Network so you get every single notification that we get when we're ready to go live. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in sports. It's your boy G. Bush. Make sure you follow me at GBush91 on Twitter. One of the best follows in all the game, especially on game days. Make sure each and every single post-game show starts and ends with the 2-minute warning. Myself, Mikey McNuggets, Mike, and my man Earl the Pearl. We simulcast right now on Bleacher Report app as well. So we doing big things over here. We still give you that flavor right here on the UCSS Network, and then we collaborate with Bleacher Report. So we pushing this content out to everybody. Big numbers, over 30,000-40,000 routinely over there, and we give you your first. We give you the first take and getting your thoughts and everything and your questions and your opinions out at the 2-minute warning first before everybody else. So make sure you check that out right here on the UCSS Network as usual. Let's get to this, man. Trade rumors, silly season. Every time we got trade rumors, we got to discuss them. Today on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, we started the show with trade rumors. It was a crazy trade rumor from, I think it's Mike Tannenbaum, who is on ESPN. And even the staff at ESPN was like kind of perturbed in a proposed trade by the Detroit Lions that would give up 3 first-round draft picks, 3 first-round draft picks, a second-round draft pick, and Jir Gibbs for Myles Garrett. Now, that's quite of a haul. That's a lot of picks, 3 first-round picks, another second-round pick, Jir Gibbs, who's a really good running back. Don't get me twisted. I like his upside and whatever. But my problem is I always get to a point where it's like, man, why are we always involving Nick Chubb or Myles Garrett? Maybe because Myles Garrett is going to bring you back the biggest haul because he's in his prime and he's still one of the top 5 player in this league. But I've always stayed on point here. I've always kept it consistent. Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb are not going anywhere. Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb should be on the untouchable list. And we'll come back and after you hear what the panel has to say. But man, oh man, I was hot. We had to get up out of here on this one, bro. I said, I know we ain't talking about this. Was earlier on UCSS. And look what my co-host was talking about. I said, we can't do this no more.
Myles was the defensive player of the year last year. I think we all agree he's not having anywhere near that kind of season.
And that's
right
why
now.
I think a team won't pay.
Yeah. No, and that's why if they would drop a first rounder from that, give us 2 first rounders, Gibbs, and the other picks, I would still do it.
There's no way the Lions are trading Jahmyr Gibbs.
What's funny?
I just don't see this.
I don't think they would either. Why would they? That would hurt their chances this year.
What's funny? Obviously, last night was trick or treat. One of my daughter's friends was over trick or treat in our neighborhood. I drove her home, dropped her off. Her dad is from Detroit, huge Lions fan, huge. And he came out to the car and dropped her off, and he said, "Are we getting your guy?" And I said, "I don't think you trade him." And he goes, "I don't want him." He said, "For the what he would cost, And the contract number, we've got enough guys to pay. He said, I want Za'Darius, not Miles.
more
Oh,
sense.
that's interesting.
And I thought that was very, and that I think
That
for
makes
both
more
sides.
sense for that.
It's
Yes.
more responsible,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Will he get you the Super Bowl? I don't know. And then if you could
But
go
he
back
makes it better.
And I'm not. If I'm the Lions, I'm not messing with Jameer Gibbs. I mean, he's too important to what they do. That combination of him and Montgomery.
What if you did this? What if you said, well, we would need a running back in return, and we'll take Nick Chubb off your hands?
What do you mean? As
Chubb
part of
and
the trade.
Miles.
Yeah. So that trade, but
Yeah.
you're also.
Oh,
you're-
hell no.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Hey, turn the page, bro.
You
I'm
would
not
literally
talking about
have
this. Y'all
on your
killing me.
on your
Y'all lost-
on
y'all
your
lost
football
y'all.
obituary,
Yeah.
the guy that traded Miles Garrett and Nick
thanks.
Chubb on the same day.
I refuse to even entertain that idea, so we're going to move on to some more.
Wait a minute, before you
topics.
do.
I have the Mac-
Nick Chubb is
Yes.
not under contract for next year.
Hey, listen, man. I love my co-host, but y'all done lost y'all's damn mind. What? Listen, I like Jameer Gibbs. Let's not. And I said this on the show. Jameer Gibbs is nice. I give you that. But y'all can't have it both ways. Y'all done told me all these years you don't pay this for a running back. Running backs don't do this. Now all of a sudden you so gun ho that Jameer Gibbs is going to be. I wouldn't even move and trade him. You know, Myles Garrett is a top 5 player in the league, and that includes quarterbacks. There's maybe 3 players in the league that you might trade Myles Garrett for. 3, maybe 3, maybe. And y'all talking about giving him up for some picks and Jameer. Listen, that sound like a lot, but when you break it down, Detroit is good. So what picks are they giving you? You're getting 25 through 30. What picks are they giving you? You getting late first rounders, bro. You getting late first rounders, my G. And on top of it, like I pointed out, y'all talk about all these picks. Let me tell you about the picks you whiff on. I just seen you whiff on Danny Shelton. I just seen you whiff on all kind of receivers, the David Bells, the Schwartzes of the world. You barely can even draft dudes right now. And you telling me I'm gonna get all these picks. Boy, y'all better stop playing around with me. Myles Garrett is a walking Hall of Famer. Myles Garrett is the best defensive player in the entire organization right now. And then the fact that you had the audacity to mention Nicholas Chubb's name. Listen, this is what I'm talking about, bro. Like, we be overvaluing, like we be out of pocket with certain things. Jameer Gibbs, he said it like it was Christian McCaffrey. He said like I don't be understanding why these names keep getting mentioned. And it just goes to show you, Myles Garrett in the city, even though he's that good, is always underrated. Because every single time we talk about something, we talk about Myles Garrett and him possibly getting traded. And then they're like, well, Myles hasn't done anything. And then you're like, what is his PFF grade? 97? I didn't never really notice that. I didn't notice. Yeah, he's getting quadruple team, bro. Come on, bro. Like, this is wild. The fact that people consistently forget week by week how good Myles Garrett is crazy. And the fact Nick Chubb has never Listen, man. Just the same way the Pittsburgh Steelers don't trade Hines Ward or TJ Watt or Hayward or Roethlisberger, it's the same way we got to start getting. Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb is about to be retired as Cleveland Browns. The only way they are even traded, and Nick Chubb will never do this. Myles Garrett is pretty much 96% not about to do this. Unless Myles Garrett comes to you and is so disgusted with the way things are going and tells you that he wants to be gone, you don't even think about it. I don't care what picks you got. I don't care what picks. I'm sorry. Means more to the organization. Put him in the Wall of Fame and start over. Because these picks that y'all talking about getting, there's no chance. There's no security in those picks. There's no all the picks we had from taking before that we got when Joe Thomas was here. What did we do with those picks? I'm not about to continue to keep going down these roads with these. Some people is just untouchable. Learn how to have untouchable people. Because the Cleveland Browns have been losing too many games. Sometimes you got to build your roster up. Sometimes you got to build your legacy up. And our culture needs to be deeper than people talking about Myles Garrett getting traded. Some people are just off limits. They're gonna die a Cleveland Brown. That's what it's gonna be. Let me know. Let me know what you think about it. Do you think, in the comment section, will Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb retire Cleveland Browns? Let me know. Let me know. With that being said, good opportunity for the Browns this weekend. Interested in seeing if it's going to get it done. Going to play the Chargers, I think it's a winnable game. I think it's going to be an exciting one, and I think Jameis Winston throws for over 300 again, and the Browns win. With that being said, you never know where G. Bush White Show, radio, television, internet. But if you want the fresh cut, the fresh take, the really razor-sharp lineup on all things sports, you'll go to the barbershop. You see my lights always on. Have a good rest of your weekend, and as always, go Browns.